Central.
Yes. Well, we are with Mr. Kojo Yankah, who has served as a minister in various capacities in the NDC, MPNDC,
No.
NDC government. Yeah. Well, I remember you first and foremost as information minister, because I think it was 95, sometime like that. You invited me to the Information Society Initiative Committee, which was, I think, a response to the G8, if my memory serves me right. Vice President Thabo Mbeki, as he then was, one of the African response to Information Society initiatives.
Right.
I remember we used to have very interesting meetings in your office. What do you think about that whole effort?
Yeah, I feel sad sometimes to think that it was not continued from there, because I thought that was ushering us into the new information age. It was out of those meetings that we also even decided to establish a new communication policy that dealt with the various angles and looking into the digital age, how prepared were we going to be so that we could design a policy around it. But unfortunately, when I was transferred out of the ministry to the central region, and unfortunately that initiative...
that reminds me, of course, when you went to the central region, you're also quite instrumental in the USAID project, a regional internet for the central region. And I must say, through that also, the technology assessment project, the project I used to work with, in fact, we are still spending a lot of time in the central region.
Yes, it was really a follow-up of what I started at the Ministry of Information. I thought I could use the central region as a laboratory to look at how we could use technology to improve governance.
But that USAID project was not very successful.
Yes, again, it was a question of vision, follow-ups, and who is interested in what. I mean, I designed the project, got all the district officers trained. We got USAID to commit $120,000 to buy the equipment, get all the districts ready. And before we could launch it, I was transferred to Ashanti. But, the structures were there. Unfortunately, those who followed...
I remember that the big bottleneck was actually connectivity from, well, at least officially the reason it was connectivity from Ghana Telecom.
Yes, connectivity. I remember that 4 districts were clearly digitalized, and they could have gone ahead, like Cape Coast, Elmina, I think Swedro, and probably Winneba. The other districts were still using the old type of telephone line, and they were waiting. But with time, they all got into it.
Yes, I agree with you. I think I've done a lot of study of that project and processes, and a big chunk of it is a leadership issue. I think it's not technical.
It's not technical.
The technical explanation is just a cop-out.
You needed it right.
Yeah. But you've been interested in this. You are now sitting here as president of the African University College of Communications, which I can see it's very much new technology focused. You've been out of government for some time. How do you see our progress in the uptake of ICTs to make things meaningful for us?
As a country, I think we are too slow.
We are too slow.
I think we are too slow. We should have.
What can we do to hasten it?
We need to open up. The biggest bottleneck, as you mentioned earlier, is connectivity. We had Ghana Telecom sitting on South 3 lines, and
had a submarine cable,
and making it so expensive for internet service operators to get access.
So if I might ask, how is your university getting bandwidth?
No, here we are on broadband for you, Ghana Telecom. So all the computers are online, and the students have the benefit of internet-ready, computers. But we are still not very satisfied with the speed. So we've just applied for an E1 line. We are also working in collaboration with the Ghana Telecom University to have a common platform to expand the bandwidth that we have so that we can even run distance learning programs on them. So we are working in that direction.
How do you see, what's been the role of regulation in all this?
I think regulation hasn't gone very far, because apart from at least some paperwork was done, the Ghana telecommunication policy, direction, which came out fine on paper, but its implementation, has taken too long, because part of the policy required that broadband accessibility would be made fairly accessible to educational institutions, to corporate society, to private sector, so that they could all expand at their own pace. But as it is, it's still limited. People have brought in so many computers, most of them very old computers, into this country. But in terms of people having access to the wider world, is still very limited.
Well, when I used to be when the Technology Assessment Project, which was a joint project between the Technical University of Denmark and the University of Ghana, was running, I must put this on record, we were the first to institute an academic and research network for this country, which involved the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research and all the university institutions.
Right.
I noticed that the Association of African Universities has engendered another research and education network. Are you part of this network?
We are not part of it. I'm aware of that project. But you see, that project may not be sustainable because it's donor driven. And as I'm speaking, the donors are not putting in as much money as they originally started with. And so the African Universities Association now has to have other sources of funding for all the satellite extensions that they have.
Let me switch topic a bit. As you mentioned, from the central region you went to the Ashanti region. And I remember that when you were leaving the Ashanti region, if I might put it that way, dramatic circumstances, you were seen off in a very untypically positive way by the chiefs of Ashanti.
Well, not just the chiefs, also the people.
I think, yes, they're right. Well, I was focused on the chiefs because I noticed that you are very much involved with Asante Henley, if I might put it that way. You do a lot of public relations with Asante Henley. Is it difficult to do that being a non-Ashanti yourself?
No, it's not.
I've heard otherwise. I've heard some royals who are quite, let me put it bluntly, opposed to your rule.
Yeah, well, it's normal. I'm not surprised by some of the expressions, because it's not very regular for people who are not Ashantis to get so close to their king.
I hear you have a true direct access.
Well, it's not my fault. I have that kind of uncommon friendship with the king himself. So it's not.
But I noticed the king is also very interested in ICT. I've not been to it, but I've noted that. I said to two ICT institutes, another thing he said about ICT. What would you say about his interest in these things?
No, I think that he is very, very keen on it. He wishes that all school children in Ashanti could have access to ICT. He wishes that all the chiefs, even under the World Bank project, one component was for all the paramount chiefs to have accessibility in their palaces. And so they were going to buy computers for all the 37 paramount chiefs in Ashanti and even beyond. And his own offices are well connected.
Good.
And he's supporting a number of initiatives in that direction. He keeps donating computers to schools and churches and
I remember the last time I spoke to you on this, I was doing a paper on chieftaincy and ICTs, and that's a long time ago, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. USAID had given some money for a website for Asante Mine. How did that project go?
No, that didn't work out as well as it should, because I don't think that
I remember it was a pilot though.
It was some small
thing,
but
exactly.
ECA rather came in to give some more support and paid for a website. And
that's true. Professor Odote's project?
No, this is Ida Opoku's project.
Okay.
Yes. So that is what is maintaining the website now.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Great pleasure.